The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
1, 2, 3, 4. As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And welcome to Thursday, August number 31 in the year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to all you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites and you military lovers as well. Today is Military Tribute Thursday. Call-in number this morning, the call-in hotline is 603-835-3226. Here it is, the last day of August of 2017. I don't know where the summer went. It's always so damn fast. And every year I say, you know what? I'm going to thoroughly enjoy. You know what? Next year I'm going to thoroughly enjoy the summer. I'm going to slow it down, take a lot of time off. And I know some people are probably thinking, well, you can't leave the show. Well, I need some time off. Gonna need, because that summer is my jam season, and then comes Christmas, of course. But yeah, I mean, it just went by so fast this year. I didn't get to the beach as often as I wanted to this year. Again, you know, and I only got so many years left. We all have a limited number. I know some people are saying, "Oh, geez, Rod, you'll be around till 80 or 90 or something." Look, I know what my life goal is, but my life goal is to be around and live to see July 4th, 2076. So July 5th, I can pass away. I mean, as long as I see this country's tricentennial, I'll be happy. But there's still only a limited number, and only a limited. Unless I'm taking it early, only a limited number of full health summers do all of us have. I know I don't mean to be morbid about this stuff, but let's face it. We don't have an infinite number of days. We have a limited number of days, a limited number of years, and when it comes to our full health, those days are even far more limited than our total lifespan. Again, unless you are taken early by some sort of incident or disease, but for the majority of us, if we live to a ripe old age, we can't do the same thing that we in our 70s and 80s that we did in our 20s and 30s. You can't go around doing hopscotch and jumping jacks and running up and down the beach. Well, some people can. There was a story a couple of weeks ago about. The whole notion of the 50s a new 30 or something like that, and 40 is a new 20, and 60 is a new 40 or 50, or In other words, people seem to be staying younger for a longer period of time, in that we're soon approaching. We're starting to get people, except for this the millennial generation, and the reason why the millennial generation actually has a lower life expectancy than their parents or the previous generation is because the millennial generation. They go ahead and do things that are more detrimental to one's health. In other words, but millennials are their personal hygiene is the worst it's been in generations since the turn of the century of the 20th century, the early 1900s. Now, at first I'm like, well, that can't be. And then I start looking at some of these people. I mean, they were kids still, college kids, but now they're in their mid-30s, the leading edge of them. And they're right. The personal hygiene of many of this generation is deplorable. Well, that has an effect on your overall health and your overall life expectancy, I suppose. But other than millennials, we were creeping up. Our life expectancy rate was creeping up. We have more octogenarians, and what do they call people in their 90s? I don't know what that is. But we have more octogenarians and more centenarians, people living to be 100 or more. We have more of those than ever before, but that's going to be significantly dipped as the millennials get older. But they're saying they're expecting it to come back with Generation Z, because Generation Z is pretty much the opposite of the millennials. The pendulum swung the other way with them. But but we still, all of us still have a limited number of days. So we should enjoy them while we have them in this particular form. Now, I firmly believe in the afterlife, heaven and hell, and if you believe in Christ, in my religious book, you're going to go to heaven and have life there. But that's a different kind of life. If you want to enjoy your human life, this life, then you only have a limited number of days. I know it really sucks to think about, but let's be frank about it. There are some people that are alive for a very short period of time, but leave a lasting impression on generations to come. Well, look at Christopher Columbus. I mean, the man's been dead for 500 years now. And he's left a lasting impression, both positive and negative. Now, he, of course, he didn't think of this stuff, as most of us don't. Most of us don't think of having any kind of legacy that we're leaving behind. There are some people that do, and they're usually politicians. But most of us don't have any kind of thought about legacy that we're leaving behind when we go. The ultra-rich and politicians often do. And they often screw themselves. Instead of just being normal and natural, they try to force it. They try to force some narrative for their legacy. And it rarely, if ever, matches what they want or what they're trying to foist upon us. I mean, seriously. And oftentimes what happened was that there are some people that wrote the story of this particular politician or ultra-wealthy person, and they embellished a little bit or a lot. And then, of course, in a couple of generations, you have the know-it-alls that come in and they want to rewrite the whole story. And so your whole legacy changes. But you can't worry about what your legacy, you got to live, you have to do what is right within your lifetime. What you believe to be is absolutely right. What you know is right. And do that. Don't worry about your stupid legacy. I'm not worried about a legacy. I mean, yeah, you have to plan for certain things, sure, for your family's sake. And depending on what your level of economic activity is, I mean, if you're a billionaire, you probably want to set up, trust funds and things like that, because there's a lot of money and assets to take care of over the next generations or so. But for the most part, most of us are just going to live here on this planet for our very short period of time, most of us less than a century. I know some people are saying, well, this is just sad, Rod. This is sad. Why are you talking about this? Because this is important. Most of us are going to be here for less than a century. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. Now, maybe sometime in the future, the average life expectancy will be over a century, but right now it's less. So in the greater scheme of things, most of us will be here for less than a century. And let me be frank. In the greater scheme of things, most of us are only going to be thought of for a generation or two after us. So in other words, your kids and your grandkids will probably remember you, but after that, that's about it. Your legacy, whatever you think it is going to be, is not going to be an active legacy. It's going to be something that we all think about as being an inactive one, meaning, did you raise your children right? And did your children pass on your values to your grandchildren? That's the kind of legacy you're going to have. That's a good legacy to leave behind. But that's the kind of legacy most of us are going to have. Now, we have some of us that have delusions of grandeur, thinking that we're going to do this, and we're going to leave our mark in architecture, leave our mark here, or leave our mark in science, and most of us will fail at that. Most people who try hard to leave a legacy will fail at leaving one. And they'll work and spend a lot of their waking, living moments trying to create Don't do that. All you can do, you know the people who really leave a legacy behind that's enduring and lasting are the people who actually just do what they believe is right, and they live their everyday life doing what they believe is right and pursuing what they believe is right. Look at our founders. Most of them didn't think about what people are going to think about them 200 years from now. They were living and doing what they thought was right at the time. That's what the legacy that they left behind is, doing what was right. You didn't have a bunch of people running around talking about their legacy and trying to set up a legacy. In modern politics, who after the past few generations, well, not even few generations, the past few presidents, who are the presidents that have been so concerned about their legacy? It's been 2 Democrats, has it not? Presidents. Yeah, it has. They even talked about it. George W. Bush didn't really care. I mean, he didn't care so much that he didn't even defend himself. He just kept doing what he thought was right. Didn't even try to defend himself, which to the chagrin and to many of us who supported him, like, well, why don't you even stand up for yourself, man? He didn't care. He just kept doing what he thought was right. He thought what was right was just to keep doing what he thought was right and let the chips fall where they may. He didn't have any qualms about protecting and establishing his legacy. But today what we have is a lot of politicians who just want to talk. They talk about legacy. Now, we even got the news organizations talking about what kind of legacy is this particular politico going to leave behind? Who cares? I mean, do you honestly think that George Washington, the father of our country, is what we call him? Do you honestly think he cares about his legacy? He's moved on. The man, his earthly body is dead. He has no idea what's going on down here right now. He doesn't care. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but he isn't, biblically speaking, he isn't hovering over the United States protecting us. That's not what the Bible says. So is he really caring about? No, because he's dead. I know a lot of people are probably tuning into this show and thinking that's just harsh. No, it's not harsh. It's reality. We got to stop spending so much of our time trying to be fake and phony and just do what's right. That is going to go farther than anything that we're trying to purposefully do. That'll leave an indelible mark on far more people than trying to live up to a certain false narrative and standard that some fake, phony liberal wants to put out there for us. Yeah, I mean, I had people at, well, what do you think, Rod? What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to build one. I'm only trying to do the right thing, to do what I believe is right on a daily basis, and do it as often as I possibly can while I'm here. And if that's not enough, well, there's nothing I can do about it. People are not going to build monuments to Rod Eccles, 100 years. Well, if they did, probably 100 years from now, you'd have somebody wanting to tear them down like they're trying to do now. And somebody's going to, some Asian named Rod Eccles is going to get pulled from whatever future ESPN coverage is, and say, well, his name sounds too familiar to the to the original. They're still talking about that. Poor Robert Lee, man. I tell you, I feel for the guy. What kind of, is he actually? The only legacy he can leave behind is being mistreated by a bunch of liberal white people who say that they are for everybody. Think about that for a second. The legacy that these people are leaving behind is mistreating minorities. Well, they are. It is so bad. That an Asian whose name is Robert Lee is being mistreated by a bunch of powerful white people because they want to protect other minorities from the trauma of Robert E. Lee, of which Robert E. Lee didn't leave any trauma. He actually didn't even own any slaves. But anybody ever think about that kind of legacy? Not from the Asian sportscaster Robert Lee, but from the people who are forcing Robert Lee to feel shame that his name is Robert Lee.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
And now a message from our sponsor. Ladies, tired of drying your hair with the same old vacuum cleaner? Try Avon Shave brand new Beauty Locks portable hair dryer. It's smaller, it's faster, it's guaranteed to give you the hair you've always wanted in half the time. Beauty Locks is delicate and dainty, just like you. The dryer weighs only a pound and easily fits in your hand. Now that's beauty and convenience. With a speedy motor that will dry your hair in as little as 25 minutes, you can get gorgeous hair without falling behind schedule. Don't worry about the little ones or that pie in the oven. Thanks to an extra long extension cord, you can move around while primping your locks. Forget those long trips to the salon and no more waiting for hours under monster machines. Alvon Shea gives you an easy and speedy hairdo that will blow your man away. Get it now at your nearest Macy's.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
(603) 835-3226. Welcome back. Today's holidays, holidays can leave a legacy too. Just so you know. I wonder what holidays that Robert Lee, the Asian sports, we get. This is pretty bad that we're going to have to clarify by their race which Robert Lee we're talking about. I mean, think of the kind of legacy that leaves behind. Now, we're supposed to be moving past race, right? Isn't that what the leftists tell us? Race. They told us a long time ago race shouldn't matter, and now race is all that counts. Black Lives Matter and white supremacy. And if your name is a similar name to somebody that the left hates in history, well, the only way that you can save yourself. I mean, you don't choose your name. You don't. I mean, some people go to court and change their name, but usually if they try to change their sex is when they change their name. But most people don't change their name. Their parents don't even think about it. I am sure that Robert Lee's parents did not think of Robert E. Lee, the Southern white general, when they were naming their son, their little baby boy, when they had him all those years ago. But isn't it terrible and awful that we now have to separate this man by calling him the Asian Robert Lee versus the Southern white general Robert Lee? Now, whose fault is that? Oh yeah, that's right. It's those wonderful white anti-supremacy, supposedly anti-racist Antifa people that are a bunch of liberal little millennials. Yes, and that's pretty bad that we've gone backwards to that extent. That we're now in a position in order for this guy has got to probably somehow instead of just being an American. Now he has to be Asian, because his name is, or either that or change his name. And if he does that, they're still going to chase after him. Well, he changed his name because his name was Robert Lee. They're not going to leave him alone on the left. That's as if it's his fault that his name is Robert and his last name is Lee. And seriously, they're going to chase this guy probably for the rest of his professional life, and that's just too damn bad. That's sad. That is really sad. And I don't care how good or bad he is as a sportscaster, it's irrelevant now. He's been tagged by the left because of his name that has really no resemblance to the Southern white general of 160 years ago. None. He's an Asian with one of the most popular Chinese last names on the planet. There's no reason. You might as well. Who's the white movie star? Jason Lee? Is he going to have to change his name too? Well, just saying. Today's holidays. Oh, we're running out of time. I guess we'll have to get to those things when we get back from the bottom of the hour break. But think about this, folks. What is your? Are you really trying to leave a legacy behind? What is the unintended legacy that you? Robert Lee's, the Asian sportscaster, his unintended legacy is his name brings about feelings of angst and anger and hatred from the left every time they hear it. Is that his fault? Is that what he's going to have to take to his grave? Here lies Asian Robert Lee, former sportscaster for ESPN, the racist.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Ah, yes, the holidays for today, Thursday, August 31, the last day of August for 2017. I know it sounds kind of sad, but it is. It's the day that we're at. Today's holidays, we have the first holiday here is Eat Outside Day. Yes, well, it is the last day of August, which means that summer officially ends in about 3 weeks on the calendar, but for most people, it really unofficially, officially ends, either it has already or it will next week. The official end of summer is on the calendar is not, late September. It is the first Monday in September, which is known as Labor Day. That's usually the end. Everybody's back in school the day after or a couple of days after. Colleges, elementary, high school, everybody's back to work. Vacations are over. Warm weather's still here in many places, but it's starting to wane. Nights get cooler. So it's a perfect time to eat outside to celebrate the end of summer, I guess. Today is also Love Litigating Lawyers Day. Now, isn't this a pip? You actually got to have a day in order to tell people to love lawyers. If you love and I'm not asking if you're married to one, but I'm just saying, if you love lawyers, raise your hand. I bet you there's not a lot of hands going up out there. Most people, they'll tell, I even say this. I don't particularly like lawyers, but I want my lawyer to be more badass than my opponent's lawyer. I mean, that's the way people think about lawyers nowadays. That's the truth. Nobody really loves their lawyer. They hate the fact that they need a lawyer. Most people hate the fact that they need one. They really do. But when they need one, they want their lawyer to be better and more badass than the opponent's lawyers. So it doesn't mean that they like their lawyer. It just means they just want their lawyer to be more badass. And when they're not, people get ticked and because then they think about, well, if my lawyer sucks, what's my recourse? This is what a lot of people feel. My lawyer sucked. My lawyer didn't represent me. Where am I going to go if my lawyer sucks? Do you ever try to sue a lawyer? It's not easy. Ask people who've tried it. Now, I haven't tried it, but ask people who've tried suing their lawyer. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Today is also National Matchmaker Day. So if you're, like the many dating apps out there, I guess this is your day. Match and all those others. So today is National Matchmaker. It also might be, you might want to celebrate, your Yitza or they're the old-fashioned matchmakers that have a Rolodex of people, that you often go to. If you're in the inner city and you have neighborhoods and you're really tight with family and your mom says, well, go see auntie, and she's not really your aunt, but auntie whoever. And auntie whoever asks you a couple of questions and pulls off off the kitchen shelf this Rolodex while smoking a cigarette and say, yeah, oh, here's a good one for you. You should meet this person. We're going to set you up on a date. And then they expect you to get married about a year later. So, National Matchmaker Day. Today is also National Diatomaceous Earth Day. Now, what is Diatomaceous Earth Day? It is also known as DE or diatomite. It's a naturally occurring soft, siliceous sedimentary rock that is easily crumbled into a fine white to off-white powder. It has a particle size ranging from less than 3 micrometers to more than a millimeter, but typically 10 to 200 micrometers, depending on the granularity. This powder Can have an abrasive feel similar to pumice. It has a low density as a result of the high porosity. Typical chemical composition of oven-dried diatomaceous earth is 80 to 90% silica with 2 to 4% alumina, mostly derived or attributed to clay minerals, and iron oxide. There is even a food-grade version of diatomaceous earth. You can actually eat it, I guess. Kind of like charcoal. I don't know the full details of health-wise of eating this stuff, but you can buy it in pill form. Diatomaceous earth consists of fossilized remains of diatoms, a type of hard-shelled protist. It is used as a filtration aid, mild abrasive in products including metal polishes and toothpaste. It's also used in mechanical insecticide, absorbent for liquids, matting agent for coatings, reinforcing filler in plastics and rubber, anti-block in plastic films, porous support for chemical catalysts. It's even used in cat litter, activator in blood clotting studies, a stabilizing component of dynamite, and a thermal insulator. It has a lot of uses. So today is a day celebrating diatomaceous earth. It is also We Love Memoirs Day. Yes, We Love Memoirs Day was created in 2013 by 2 memoir authors. I kid you not. These authors created this day. Victoria Tweed and Alan Parks. There's also a Facebook group connected to connect admirers, readers, and authors of memoirs. A memoir is different from an autobiography. That an autobiography may cover an individual's whole life, but a memoir is a narrower focus and covers a significant moment in a person's life. So there you go. You got any memoir? You probably have a memoir inside you that you'd want to, other people may want to read. So share it. I don't have any. Am I going to have an autobiography? No, I probably won't have an autobiography. I can't stop biographies because anybody can write a biography. But I'm not going to have an I don't think my life has been all that exciting, to tell you the truth. Today is also National Trail Mix Day. And National Trail Mix Day is dedicated to the snack mix of substance. Did you know how trail mix was conceived and why? Well, it was conceived because to take it along with you. It's dedicated to the snack mix of substance which was conceived to be taken along on hikes. It's easy to carry and usually nutritious, often containing raisins, nuts, and granola. Chocolate is sometimes added. It's at least been around since 1910 when it was mentioned in Horace Kephardt's The Book of Camping and Woodcraft. Now, in many European countries, it's known as student snack or student food. And many hikers refer to trail mix as gorp. There you go. So, those are today's holidays, along with today being Thoughtful Thursday. Now, Thoughtful Thursday is only observed on the last Thursday of August. So every other Thursday is not so thoughtful. But the last Thursday of August is Thoughtful Thursday, and those are today's holidays. Hope you enjoy them. Harris, Senator Kamala Harris. The measure about single-payer health care. She is co-sponsoring the bill. Harris is a co-sponsor. Bernie Sanders' single-payer bill. She says it's about creating an opportunity for a larger number of people to access good quality health care. I thought that's what Obamacare was all about. No, sir, didn't we hear that? You know, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act was all about affordable, better health care for everybody. So more people could access good health care. Even if they couldn't afford it, they get the insurance that they needed to be able to access and utilize and take and participate in good, affordable health care. And that didn't work. Well, of course, those of us on the right knew it wouldn't work, knew it was going to be a big failure. But that's what they told us. And now they're telling us, Bernie Sanders is telling us, along with Kamala Harris, not Camilla, Kamala, Kamala. Now, since I am part black, can I make fun of black people's names? I'm getting sick and tired of listening to these weird names. Now, I know some of them have some African root or meaning. Most of them do not. Like Shaniqua. These are just freaking made-up names. Somebody just threw a bunch of letters together. Now, I looked up the name Kamala, and there doesn't seem to be a meaning behind it. Seems to be another made-up name. Now, why is this significant? Because she's making up a bunch of BS bullshit about Bernie Sanders' health care bill. Single payer. Creating an opportunity for a larger number of people to access good quality health care? No, she's not. Now, here's a woman that all of a sudden has delusions of grandeur. Somebody is pumping this woman's head full of delusions of grandeur. Hey, you could be president someday. You could not only could you be the first woman president, you could be the first African American president. Female African American president. I have no idea who's filling this, and she's starting to believe her press. She's starting to believe it. I'm sorry, I don't. Kamala, go home. We don't need you definitely don't need you as president. That's for damn sure. But she's co-sponsoring Bernie Sanders single payer. But now understand, Bernie Sanders comes from a state where the governor of his state says we can't afford single payer. We're going to drop the single payer stuff. Can't afford it. So you can't even get it right in Bernie Sanders' own home state. California thought that they were going to come up with a single-payer healthcare bill or law just within the state, and realized it was going to literally more than double the state budget. It was going to literally more than double the entire state. But in other words, having a single-payer California healthcare system was going to cost more than what it currently runs the entire state. For one line item, single payer. It was going to cost over $200 billion. They spend less than $200 billion on a state budget all for the entire state of California right now. It's like $190 billion is what their budget is. This budget for a single payer healthcare would be over $200 billion. So more than double. So the state budget would go from roughly $200 billion to over $400 billion overnight if they were to pass this. That's really affordable. Where are they going to get the money for that? They're going to have to tax the hell out of people. Can you imagine on a national level? You got Vermont that can't afford to do it. And they don't have a whole hell. What do they get? Vermont's got like 700,000 people. So they don't got a whole hell of a lot of people. Do you think it'd be cheaper? No. Can't do it in Vermont. California is seriously looking at it and realize it's going to double their state budget, so they really can't afford to do it. No. So you have these two people who come from California and Vermont who are going to say, well, yeah, we can't do it on a state level, but we can do it on a national level. You want to talk about doubling our budget over, more than doubling our budget over, what are we spending now, like $4 trillion a year in a federal budget? Can you imagine our federal budget jumping from $4 trillion to $8 to $10 trillion overnight with the passage of a single-payer bill? And we wouldn't get better health care. And somehow, some way, I damn sure bet, just like the Americans with the Affordable Care Act, wouldn't cover 100% of Americans. But those people who are here illegally would get, they get great coverage. While we citizens who were actually born here or came here legally and became citizens legally, we'd get the short end of the shaft. You better believe it. Now Harris hails from the Oakland, California area, which is the Bay Area. I know you can't make this stuff up, folks. So she hails from the Bay. She should go back to Oakland as far as I'm concerned. Rod, that's just mean. You can't say that about her. Yeah, I can, and yeah, I did. I know somebody's going to say, well, you're a racist. Because they're gonna hear my voice, and they're actually going to be the racist. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the old statement, well, you don't sound black. So somebody's going to hear my voice, think I'm white, and then accuse me of being a racist. Now, the person who does that, you got to ask yourself, you got to ask them, well, aren't you the one who's really a racist because you expect me to sound a particular way? Well, am I supposed? I can't even pretend to sound like a rapper. I can't get that urban dialect. I tried sometimes and it just don't come out right. It sounds like I'm from the South instead. Kamala Harris can go back to Oakland. Bernie Sanders can go back to Vermont. He can go back to his $600,000 island retreat in Lake Champlain, just north of Burlington, and leave us, the rest of us, the hell alone, and leave our health care alone. Because we would like it if the government got out of health care, because they suck at it. Just ask Medicare and Medicaid and the VA.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
I'm going to say this. I think that we should get rid of this notion that you can, only Asians can make fun of Asians and only blacks can make fun of blacks, and Well, that's not true when it comes to white people. Anybody can make fun of white people, but white people can't make fun of anybody else. White people can only make fun of white people, and then white people can only make fun of certain white people. Because if you're a white person that didn't come from Appalachia, like Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter, then you're not allowed to make fun of them. I think it's terrible. White people have so many restrictions on them. I think everybody should be able to make fun of everybody. We're all human here. I mean, why is it that black people get to make fun of everybody, including Asians, but white people don't? Because, man, if white people do it, it's racist. So if black people do it, it's not racist? I've heard that saying, well, black people can't be racist. I'm like, what kind of nonsense is that? Yeah, they can. But I bring it up because, I make fun of those stupid names all the time. Look, we've done it. Remember in Living Color? What was it? One of the Jamie Foxx's characters' names was Shanae. Well, he was taking a direct dig at the stupid names that people were naming their kids. And frankly, it is now starting to seep into poor white trash neighborhoods, those types of made-up names. I mean, you can no longer, if you hear somebody's name is Shaniqua or Shanae or something like that, you can no longer assume that it's a black person. It could be white trash too, because there are two white girls running around in Keene, New Hampshire with these made-up black girl names. I kid you not. So it is it's creepy. Yes, I have a problem with that kind of crap. Because you're actually tagging when you name your kid something like that, you're tagging your kid, and most likely they're not going to, especially if they're not a boy. If they're a boy, they might end up being a sports star. I mean, how many of these sports stars do we see that have these weird names? But we're not supposed. And automatically you think if you hear a name like that, I don't know, Jamarid, where they make up a girl's name, and for boys, however, they somehow take two legitimate names and ram them together. And it's annoying as hell. But this is what I don't know why people do this. I don't know why. Do they expect these names to be, they're building their legacy of their children for them ahead of time? I guess that must be it. Because, it's rare if two sports stars nowadays have the same first name. Well, because their parents have taken two names and jammed them together to form a first name, or they'll even hyphenate them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know if that's supposed to be, if we're supposed to be upset with that. If we should we be upset with parents because of how they're naming their kids that way instead of normal names? Instead, we're being upset with the parents of the Asian sportscaster Robert Lee for naming him Robert. I mean, think about it. And then they become senators too, that go by the name of Kamala, not Camilla, with a C, but Kamala with a K and an extra A. And we're not supposed to notice? We're not supposed to think about that? Are they trying to force a legacy upon these kids, and these kids forced to try to live up to some legacy that their parents had designed for them? Probably. But did they live up to it? Hardly ever. Is that going to stop them? No.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine. It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back, all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. Yes, it is I am back here with you in this second hour here on this Thursday, August number 31, the year of our Lord 2017. We have later this morning, we have the tribute song. Why is that playing now? We have the military tribute song. And next week, I do believe we'll be starting back with the actual tributes to the fallen soldiers. Yeah, can you believe it? The end of summer. That's it. So we have the military tribute song later this morning, as well as military news coming up as part of our military tribute Thursday. Glad that you're here. 603-835-3226 is the call-in hotline number. It's the hotline. I think that was a song back in this. Who is it? Yeah, by the family group, the Silvers. Anybody remember that? Hotline, hotline, calling on the hotline. Remember that from the for your love, ooh yeah. That was I think I wore that. I think I had it as a 45. I wore that 45 out. It was a big hit for the Silvers back in probably around 76, 77, somewhere around disco era. When the poly suits were in, the three-piece polyester suits. Anybody remember those? If you don't remember them, all you got to do is see the movie and Justice for All was starring Al Pacino. That'll bring back those polyester suits in a hurry. That kind of stuff, I guess, is coming back. I got that story here. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. First, what's going on down in Houston and in other places of the country as far as, legacy stuff is concerned? Well, the L.A. City Council has now decided to, L.A. meaning Los Angeles, California, has decided to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day on the city calendar. Yes, the Los Angeles City Council voted yesterday to eliminate Columbus Day from the city calendar, siding with activists who view the explorer as a symbol of genocide for Native peoples in North America and elsewhere. Now, look, they're trying to change this man's legacy as being something that he wasn't. Now, first his legacy was built up being something that he wasn't. Now they're trying to tear him down to be by making him something that he wasn't. Columbus was a businessman. The reality of Christopher Columbus is that he was a businessman. He was not some great explorer. He really wasn't. He was looking for a way to, well, depending on who you talk to, he was looking for a way to find a cheaper, faster route to do business back in the day. Now, some people are saying that he knew what he was doing, that he knew that there was a new world because he was following some ancient alien crap or something like that, or he was part of the Knights Templar movement of the day. We'll never really know what was going through Christopher Columbus's head at the time. We'll never really know. He's not around anymore. He's been gone for over 500 years. But to call this man the leader of a genocidal movement is it just maybe just a tad bit much. Okay? I mean, he wasn't genocide. Again, you would have to assume, in order for you to think that Christopher Columbus was genocidal, that he knew about germ warfare 500 years ago, and knowing that the people that he was going to encounter had no natural defense against things like measles and chickenpox. Okay, if he knew that, then okay, you could say he was genocidal. But honestly, other than that, come on. To change this guy, okay, be honest about it, sure. He didn't discover America. Obviously, there were lots of people, excluding the Native Americans that were already here, lots of other people who had already been here, Europeans and Asians who had been to the new land, new world, before Christopher Columbus. We got it. We know that's historically accurate. So you could stop, you could stop saying that if you wanted to. But other than that, to change his entire legacy is just wrong. It's just wrong. I'm sorry. It is not right. It is not right. Let's see. What else we got here? Federal judge. Before we get into federal judge, I know we got somebody on the line here. Let's bring on the caller from 817. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got for me this morning?
Wow, you know what? You sound like a white nationalist.
I probably do to some people, yes. If they've never seen a picture of me, they would accuse me of being such.
I'm just playing with you, Ron. Long time, man. It's been a long time since I called in. Man, so I am in the great state of Texas, and I want to give you a few reports that you probably already know, but Houston is doing a whole lot better now. They're pumping out the water. They got a team out there that's just knocking stuff out. And this was the worst hurricane that we've ever seen, probably in our century now. And I'm telling you, like I'm going to Galveston in a couple of weeks for vacation. And when I found out it was coming, I was like, oh, great, my vacation is out the freaking window. Because I'm like, man, I spent all this money to rent a beach house, and now I know that I just wasted my money for no reason. But it's by God's grace, everything's looking good.
They're not going to give Trump or the Republican governor any Republican any credit for how they got things moving. This is also a testament to the people of Texas, who didn't sit by and wait for somebody to come in and give them help. These people took it upon themselves to help each other. There's a story here that talks about, is the independence, the rugged individualism of Texas done because of the storm? No! It's proving the rugged individualism because they didn't wait, unlike, New Orleans, they didn't wait for somebody to tell them or to come in and help them. They started getting out their boats and started helping people themselves. They did a lot. They put a lot of things in place ahead of time, even in Houston. Even though that stupid Democratic mayor was pulling a Ray Nagin on those poor people and telling them to stay, when everybody else around them was telling them to get out. But the response to Houston, to Harvey now, is the way you're supposed to react to this kind of stuff on a national, state, and local level. They did it right. Why? Why did they do it right? They did it right mostly because the individual Texan got it right. And they're not going to get credit for that. Trust me. They're going to think it's some liberal Democrat that got the ball rolling and government saved everybody.
Democratically and politically also, that's most of the reasons why I live in Texas. It's a great state. Yeah, the heat and the cold, and it's bipolar weather, and that's just Texas weather. Other than that, I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful state, and the history behind it's just even better. And oh my goodness! But go ahead and rear off of that. I do commend Trump for coming down there, and it was great. I'm glad that he came down there and supported us and gave his little speech, and that just said right there that he will respond real fast, unlike Obama with Sandy, with the hurricane up there in New Jersey and stuff, where he was just too busy about playing golf. But earlier you were talking about taking down about that guy's name. Lee.
Robert
Lee,
yes.
Yes, and I back then, especially when they started taking down the Confederate flag, I was raised in a racist home, but I broke away from that after I brought a black girlfriend over to my house, and my dad flipped, and and the whole family flipped. And, I don't look at racism. I never looked at racism bad. Well, I started getting real kind of pissed off, part of, mind control and trying to start a race war back in the time when they were taking down the rebel flag. So I bought one, just because I was pissed. And then I started doing the research on it. This was in 2014. I started doing the research on it. I burned that motherfucker. And it even pissed me off even more because what's funny is the Democrats are trying to remove the history that they created. They created this history. Therefore, they're trying to hurry up and remove it. So when the Generation X comes in, they'll be like, oh, look at this, and, oh, we never stood up for the Civil War and slavery when it had more to do than just slavery, taxes, and everything else. I don't want to get into it. But basically, I have nothing wrong with people that want to fly the Confederate flags. Of course, I am in Texas, southern state, and see a lot of it around. And I don't look at anybody bad about it. Whatever they want to do, they can do it. But if you really do your research, the Confederates committed treason. And, I mean, I've gotten to it with a lot of people with this. And, yeah, it's a nasty, nasty, nasty subject to get on, but it needs to be said and done.
Well, we do have to understand and realize that the war between the states, a.k.a. the Civil War period, is a very dark period of time in our nation's history. However, it is not unique. Nations all over the planet throughout history have gone through their dark moments of civil war. I mean, we like to think, we look at it as being the war between the states and the United States as being just, it was so unique and awful and terrible. No, it's not unique. It's far from, historically speaking, it's far from unique. The other aspect of this is that it was not about slavery. Now, I'm part African American, and I'm telling people it was not about slavery. There were President Abraham Lincoln had a list of 17 reasons for going into a civil war with the South. Slavery was not even in the top 10. Okay, reasons for going to war. It had a lot to do with the economy, the economics of the day. It had a lot to do with with taxation and them not doing it properly. You're absolutely right, seceding properly. There is a way to do that, and they didn't do it that way. So Lincoln had to say, well, do I stand by and just let people break the Constitution, or do I defend the Constitution? Yep. So that was his whole mantra behind it. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to have been in Abraham Lincoln's shoes at all. I mean, that was a terrible decision that he had to make. But
no, he didn't want to go to war. He did not want to go to war.
No, in the end, his decision did two things. It was the right decision, but it also sort of solidified federalism instead of constitutionalism. Mm-hmm. which now we're dealing with federalism in our country, and everybody wants, most of us want to try to get back to constitutionalism. But that was a dichotomy that he had to go through. Do I save the country and then thus boost the power of the federal government, or do I just let anybody do whatever they want, even if it's breaking the Constitution, of which they all signed, 7 years ago, that type of thing. So I mean, it's not so cut and dry when you look at it from 30,000 feet. Everybody can say, well, it's about slavery. Well, not really, no. It really wasn't. And you can't tell people that today because this is what they're told. It was about slavery. Well, the reality is, no, it wasn't. It had a lot to do. Yep. I mean, slavery was one of the reasons, but there was a hell of a lot more issues involved than slavery. That was just actually, to be honest, it was an afterthought.
Well, and going to slavery too, only if you really look at the statistics, only the rich people had slaves. If the lower class and middle class couldn't afford slaves, having slaves is like owning a freaking Mercedes. It's expensive, and then you got to think about feeding them and clothing them and housing them. It's a bigger process than everybody thinks. And only only 5% of Americans back in that day had slaves. That's really not a lot. And a lot of white people that fought on the North, on the Union side, fought for slavery. And a lot of people would say, Southern people say, a lot of blacks fought for the South. Yeah, because they were forced to fight for the South. They were compromised. It was like, you fight for me and you'll be free, which really wouldn't have happened because that's what they're part of what they're fighting for. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, if you ever look at the way I often say, look at it this way. Well, let's just go out west to California. Look at all the wonderful liberal CEOs. You got the CEO of Facebook, of Google, of Apple. What do these people do? Well, they pay certain people, six figures, and everybody else gets a lot less. And they expect even the people that they pay six figures. I mean, it's so bad in Google that a lot of Google employees don't even have their own houses. They have Winnebagos that they park in the parking lot because Google expects them to always be there. Isn't that the same thing as slavery? It's a different form. It's the same thing. But that's okay because now they're good. Yeah, that's okay because they're getting paid well.
That's exactly what's happening. You're pointing that out. Slavery is still happening to this day. They're what they're doing is they're accepting it because they know they can get it cheap labor. They know what's happening behind there. They just don't want to think about it. Don't want nobody to know about it too.
It's all hypocritical. I just like peeling back the hypocritical layers. It's what is it, Shrek? I'm like an onion. I got layers. There's layers to this slavery thing. There's layers. And all of it stinks, by the way, but there are layers. Yeah, well, you're getting some wisdom from a cartoon.
Well, thanks a lot, Ron, and I love your show, man. Keep it going.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the call. We're headed for a break now, folks. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Got a lot more.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $14 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Zero 3835-3226. Welcome back. In Texas, speaking of Texas right now, evidently Harvey has moved on, finally. The water is starting to recede. They're pumping it out of areas. It's naturally flowing out of areas. A lot of the dams and levees and dikes that were in danger of overflowing or bursting have been given a reprieve, and of course, the Army Corps of Engineers will have to go in after everything dies down a little bit and reinforce or rebuild a lot of this stuff because it just wasn't, wasn't made to handle this kind of a storm. A lot of this stuff, and of course, that there's going to be. Well, look at some estimates. Some saying 30,000 to 40,000 homes have been destroyed, many of them irreparably, so they'll be razed and then rebuilt. And you'll have new neighborhoods. Then you're also going to get some new regulations. Yeah, you're going to get new regulations. The government, government people are going to say, well, these new regulations are to save property and life, life and limb, basically. And it's really not, for the most part. It's just a way for them to utilize a natural disaster to extend more government control over your daily life. That's exactly what it's going to be like. I mean, some of it will actually be good. They'll learn from some of the failures that happen, and they'll change those things in order so they don't fail next time, if there is a next time, or at least they'll be able to withstand more severity than they were able to withstand at this particular juncture. And that's fine. As long as we learn and improve, that's good. But we don't need more regulation. So I'm going to urge Texans not to fall into the trap of over-regulating themselves simply because they had a storm. It's not going to help you in the future. Over-regulation is not going to help you in the future. If it didn't help you in the past, it's not going to help you in the future. Just saying. But that is always, and it's not just for Texas. There are going to be other communities and states that look at what happened in Texas, and they're going to start thinking, well, we need to beef up our stuff, and they're going to be blaming what? Man-made global climate change. They're already doing it. This is the worst hurricane due to man-made global climate change. I got the story here, folks. It's redonkulous. As if Category 3 and Category 4 hurricanes have never hit the Gulf before. That's what they're blaming. I'm not kidding. They're blaming global warming, basically, and President Trump for pulling out of the Paris Agreement.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Call Rod now, 666-603-835-3226.
We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy bastards by the bushel.
Now I live lean and I mean to inflict the grief, and the least of me is still out of your reach. The killing machine's gonna do the deed until the river runs dry and my last breath leaves. Chin in the air with a head held high, I'll stand in the path of the enemy line. Feel no fear, know my pride. For God and country, I'll enjoy life. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. My eyes are steel and my gaze is long. I am a warrior and this is my song.
All right, now you sons of bitches, you know how I feel.
The Warrior Song, this morning's tribute military song. Yes, indeed, these guys, they're the best of the best. You know, yesterday they had Independence Day was on. I think it was on AMC, And I caught a little bit of it. And this is 1996. I mean, this is 20 years ago this movie first came out. 21 years ago. So I caught a little bit of it, and it ID4. Remember, it was huge back then. You know, we were invaded by some foreign entity, alien entity, and we didn't give up. That same spirit permeates our military. Thank God that same spirit permeates our military today. They don't give up, and that's a damn good thing. Yeah, look, military. I know some people are out there. They think, well, military is just awful. It's terror. Well, let me tell you what the military's job is. Military's job is to break things and kill people. That's what their job is. They're not meant to be peacekeepers and nation builders. They're meant to kill people and break things. And they do, and our military does it better than anybody else. And that's what you want when you're in war, by the way. You want to be better at killing people and breaking things than the enemy is at killing you and breaking your things. Seriously, that's what you want. I mean, that's just the honest truth. And until someday when we can turn all our weapons into plows, we're going to need our military. Now, that means that we're just going to have to change human nature, period. I think, you can't blame the United States on humanity. I mean, what's the guy, Maduro down there in Venezuela? Look at it. We didn't create him. You know, the Kim regime, grandpa, daddy, and son. We didn't create the Kims in North Korea. You know, the Ayatollahs of Iran, we didn't create them either. So all the bad people, all the dictators around the globe, it's not the fault of the United States. So we've got to be able to defend ourselves from the bad people. They're just bad people. They're just evil people on the planet, and the left has to understand that. We didn't create. They try to blame everything, on U.S. policy did this and U.S. policy did no bullshit. Did not. That stuff was active before we got involved. Now, did we screw up some things? Yes. Most things? No. Some things? Yes. Most things? No. Yeah, I said it twice. But we screwed things up and got involved in places maybe we shouldn't have gotten involved in because there were bad people involved. And those bad people wanted to do bad things to Americans and America. Plain and simple. I don't know what's so hard to understand about that. Well, it's very hard for people to understand it because we have leaders in this country that just want to try to placate everybody. Look, even right now in Texas, you got a federal judge in Texas that blocked Texas's ban on sanctuary cities. Now, sanctuary cities, basically, they're breaking the freaking law. And you've got judges all over the country when you have states and the federal government and different states, governors, trying to clamp down on lawbreakers. And you got federal judges coming in and saying, well, no, they can break the law if they want. So here in Houston, amidst all the flooding in Houston, this judge still was able to find time and the ability to get to the courthouse to yesterday block Texas from enforcing its ban on so-called sanctuary cities, questioning the constitutionality of the law that has pitted Republican state leaders against several Democratic-leaning cities. Now, with that said, you got to understand why. Is it, we got to let people stay, right? Well, I know you got to question the timing of this stuff. And you had Harvey blowing through town and doing, its damage. So you got to wonder, you got to question some of the timing of these decisions. Here's another one, and this is why I say this. Here's another one. The Houston Independent School District, otherwise known as the HISD, also announced yesterday that they will provide 3, not 1, not 2, but 3, 1, 2, 3 free meals to all of their students during the 2017-2018 school year. So who's going to take advantage of that? Well, yeah, it's going to be the poor black child. Yeah. I get that. But you know who else is going to get to take advantage of that? Do you know who else that Houstonites are going to be paying to feed? Illegal immigrants and their children. Well, look, you can't do that. You can't feed illegals this way if it's illegal to do so. So you've got to make the sanctuary city law, even though it's breaking the law, you've got to make it legal to break the law. And the only way you're going to make it legal to break the law is if you have a judge that says, well, yeah, Texas, you can't, it's the governor, you can't stop cities from breaking the law. So in other words, they're telling you what they're saying, what the federal judge is saying. You can't stop cities from breaking the law. All you can do is go in after they break the law and try to prosecute. Oh, that's too late then. That's idiot. Why can't we just prevent them from breaking the law in the first place? Why must we reward them? So this whole thing in Houston, the HISD, this was made possible after receiving approval from the USDA and the Texas Department of Agriculture to waive an application process for the National School Lunch Breakfast Program. Well, now shouldn't it be called the School Dinner Lunch Breakfast Program? Well, that's 3 meals a day. The decision comes in the wake of the devastation created by Hurricane Harvey and its aftermath. Despite the federal waiver, however, the HISD is still asking parents and guardians to complete and return the application. The National School Breakfast Program applications and surveys are available by going to Meal Apps, a place online. The information received in the forms helps the district to secure funding and track student data. They want to track the kids. Are we feeding the kids right? The flood. Now, I remember the early days of the school breakfast lunch program. I remember the few times I had to attend public school number 31 in Buffalo, New York. I got breakfast at home. Now, obviously, my parents, my mom could afford to buy me breakfast. Yeah, some kids didn't have that opportunity, I guess. And so what did they offer them at school breakfast? Sugar cereal. And it was given to everybody. Now, I had already had breakfast. And I remember saying, Mom, you don't have to give me breakfast. I get breakfast at school. And my mother saying, no, I can afford to feed you, so you're going to have breakfast before you go to school. And you get to school, and okay, so you can't be the only kid sitting there not eating cereal. So you have those little boxes of cereal with milk. And what they were things like every day it was like Lucky. It was Frosted Flakes and Lucky. It was the super sugared cereals. Wasn't healthy cereals. Not that kids would eat them anyway if they were, but they and you wonder why some kids were bouncing off the walls. Well, you sugared them up first thing in the morning. And I didn't usually hang around for, sometimes I hung, my mother packed my lunch, and I had lunch they didn't have a cafeteria and lunchroom in the school. Believe it or not, there was no cafeteria or lunchroom. What they had done is they had knocked out the walls between 3 classrooms and combined the 3 classrooms and put tables in there, and that was the lunchroom. So you went and they brought in the hot lunch. It always stunk, by the way. Never smelled good. But the hot lunch came from outside the school because there was no cafeteria in this school. None. I mean, it's amazing as there was never a cafeteria. But sometimes my mother packed lunch, and sometimes she picked me up and went home for a hot lunch. Thankfully, because I don't think I could have ever eaten the lunch that they provided, the free lunch they provided in school, because that stuff stank. I don't even know what it was. I mean, some of it was turkey. It's probably not a good idea to feed kids this kind of lunch. It's probably, sometimes they had this turkey, open-faced turkey sandwich crap. I don't know what the hell. It didn't look like turkey meat to me, but evidently it was. This is what they were feeding the po kids. And so now they want to do this for dinner, too, in Houston. And they've gotten a grant. Now, where is the grant coming from? The grant is coming from, they received their approval, and they've gotten grants from government agencies. Well, where does the government agencies getting their money from? You and me, the taxpayer. So taxpayer, and who's going to be fed by this? Fed by these programs? Well, obviously a bunch of illegals that are crossing the border, because now a federal judge down in Houston is blocking the Texas anti-illegal immigrant sanctuary city law. And I know some people are saying, "Well, it's not the kids' fault. You gotta feed the children right." No, you don't. You may say that sounds harsh and cruel, but folks, understand. Look what they're doing. These people that are coming here illegally are using their children. And if you allow them to get away with that, more people are going to use children. This is shameful. Now, at some point, we got to say, well, we're not gonna support these kids. And when you do that, that means a lot of these people will stop using these kids to their advantage. They'll stop misuse. This is misuse. You don't march a kid across a desert just so you can have a better life. Don't give me the bull crap that you're trying to get have a better life for your kids. You're risking your kid's life, death, by pushing them across a desert to cross into a country illegally. Don't give me the heartstrings. Where are the heartstrings for pushing the kids in the first place? You know how you stop that? You know how many kids die because of that kind of crap? How about we stop rewarding because we're saying we're doing it for the children? How about we really do it for the children and prevent their parents and their relatives and others from using them in the first place? Seems to me that would be more humanitarian. But, then... who am I? I'm just sitting up here in the Northeast. I'm just a, wannabe carpetbagger, I guess.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message. A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, "I'll bet you're a Nazi." Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. There's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people, you suck.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, But now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and/or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something.
It is not because I am a cold-hearted snake, because I'm not. I'm a very compassionate person. And I look at the whole picture, not just, I just don't do the touchy-feely stuff. I look at the whole picture. And the whole picture is, if you look at the whole picture, the problem isn't that we're not being, humane with the little children that are coming across the border. The truth is that liberals are being rather cruel in not stopping this. Because parents and relatives and others are using these kids to try to cross the border illegally and stay here. Because what do we hear? We hear, we can't tear families apart. No, bullshit, you can't tear families apart. They did it already. We're not doing it. They did it. And there are children that die trying to being pushed by adults trying to make the trek illegally across the border. I mean, you would think that you would be humane enough to want to stop them from even attempting it in order to save the lives of innocent kids. I mean, that's what you would think. But then again, liberals have never been ones to really think through their touchy-feeliness, because it just sounds like it's such a good idea to allow the children to be fed and to be housed and educated in our country, even if they're illegal. Not even stopping to think for a minute what they're doing to even more kids as their parents and relatives and others, not even related to them, use them to come across the border. And many of them don't make it. You don't hear about that, though, do you? You don't hear about, you hear sometimes, some adults don't make it. Well, what about the kids that don't make it? How many children, little children's bodies are strewn across the desert between Mexico and the United States right now? I mean, you don't hear about liberals wanting to stop that. Oh, no, because it doesn't do them any good. It doesn't fit their mantra. How about we stop them from wanting to take that trek in the first place, and thus keeping those kids alive? Seems to me that's the more caring thing to do. But again, who am I? I'm just a wannabe northern carpetbagger, right?
Today, there's a beer for everyone.
Hey, me and the guys are going out for beer. You want to come along?
Nah, I got a lot of data to enter into the computer tonight.
Now, there's a brew for the future.
Want me to bring you something back?
Thanks, but I got some right here.
Microsoft Brew.
You got a beer tap on your computer?
With a head so thick you can float a mouse on it.
Let me get this straight. You make your own beer with the computer?
With the right software, you can do anything.
Microsoft Brew.
Here, I call this one Windows 95.
I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
And if you got to get there quicker, try the new ISDN malt liquor.
When I found out I had atrial fibrillation, a serious but highly treatable heart condition, the first thing I thought of was who would take care of my wife and children if anything were to happen to me? My doctor recommended Prevactin. I had a lot of questions, so I did some research. It turns out Prevactin is the #1 recommended drug for Crohn's disease. I think my doctor's trying to kill me and steal my wife.
Doctors. They'll stop at nothing to get your wife.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine. It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound.
It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org. It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better, at nih.gov.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome to hour number 3, the fastest 3 hours in Internet Talk Radio, right here on the Rod Eccles Show. Here it is, hour number 3 on this Thursday, August number 31 in the year of our Lord 2017. The call-in hotline number is 603-835-3226. That is the number to utilize, and welcome back to all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all over the globe. I am glad that you are out there listening, tuning in, even if you don't agree with me 100% of the time. And trust me, I hear from people that don't agree with me. And that's fine. That's good. We can have an honest debate and discussion and have our, now, you know, sometimes, you know, the discussion devolves into just a plain argument. Neither one of us are going to back down off our position. But a lot of times I help people see something that they might be missing. And a lot of times people share with me stuff that I might be missing. That's what the whole point of debating really is about, is to share information. Debating should not be about convincing somebody to agree with you, because a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. It should be about sharing pertinent information. That information may get the person to change their opinion or their view, because they didn't have it before. I've often said it. Look, I base my opinions, my views on the available information. If fact comes forth that dictates that I change my position, then I obviously, logically speaking, have to do so. I know we have people on the left that refuse to do that. No matter how much how much logic, how much information, how much fact and truth and data that you give them, they will stick to their guns about what they used to think about. And this is, look, a perfect example is global warming. No matter how much information you give somebody about that disproves global warming, man-made global climate change, they're gonna believe it. They're going to believe it in their heart and soul because that's what they want. If we have people that do less of what they want, because oftentimes what you think is society was going to make society more perfect, doesn't even come close. It doesn't come close. What is going to make society more perfect is when people have the ability to use their God-given talents to their fullest extent. No, being a mass murderer or serial killer is not a God-given talent. Sorry. I know some people will say, well, what about that, Rod? What if you're a serial killer? That's not a God-given talent. It's just not. To be some sort of genius criminal is not a God-given talent. You've taken a talent that God has given you and you've twisted it. People can do that. But if you don't twist it, if you just take your God-given talent and utilize it for the betterment of others, to your fullest ability and potential for the betterment of others, that's what makes societies, and it would make societies better and more perfect. Governments don't make societies more perfect. Governments often cause societies decline. I mean, when was the last time you saw a bunch of people in a community coming together and deciding to destroy their own society? Governments do that. And I know you could say, well, people elect their governments or allow their governments to take hold. Well, that may be true in most cases, true. Although I don't think that the people of Venezuela right now really want their government, Maduro, to take over, but they don't have any way of resisting, really. Because they don't have any weapons. The military's got all the weapons. This is why you can't disarm Americans. Just saying. Because, the Venezuelans are not, they're not citizens or subjects. Which brings me to Game of Thrones. I think I was going to wait until tomorrow to talk about this. But you know what? If you haven't seen it, it's a series finale. If you haven't seen it already, well, that's your own fault. So here's a spoiler alert. I might reveal some stuff. So for the rest of this segment, you're probably not going to want to listen to what I have to say about Game of Thrones. Because there might be some spoilers here. Just for this segment. And we'll go to commercial, come back, and I won't talk about it again. But, here I'm giving you forewarning. Spoiler alert, Game of Thrones conversation about to begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, in Game of Thrones, there is this whole notion about people, wanting to be king and queen and that kind of thing. And we find out the reality is it isn't about, for some of them, it isn't about the people. They even say it. Cersei says, I don't give a damn about the people. It's about me and my family. Well, it's not. All too often, this is the reality, outside of TV-dom, if you will. It's not. That is not just fiction. We have too many politicians, even today, that are more into stuff for themselves and not the people that they supposedly serve. Cersei she's flipped out. She's lost it. She isn't in it for the people of Westeros she isn't in it for the people of King's Landing and the Seven Kingdoms. Now, I know some people are saying, well, Dany is more likely going to make things better. Is she really? I mean, she was trying to force Jon Snow into bending a knee, the King of the North. Hey, well, why don't you bend the knee? Well, if you really want to make things better, why don't you just let me rule the North and you just take care of everything else? I mean, I know we all find out we find out later on in towards the end of the program that Jon Snow is not really Jon Snow, but Jon Sand. And he's not even really Jon Sand. But he's really, as we all know, he's a Targaryen. We already knew he was a Targaryen. If you missed the part about him a couple of episodes ago, where the big dragon, that Dany rides on all the time, is Drago? I think it's the dragon's name. He petted the dragon, let him pet him. Now, only a Targaryen can do that. The dragon recognized that Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen. Well, does that make Dany and Jon relatives? It does. Does it make them brother and sister like Jaime and Cersei Lannister? No, it doesn't. They're actually nephew and aunt. They don't know it, obviously. And look, so when people maneuver other people to do what they want, there's a lot of things that are out of their control. Now, nobody who manufactured all these events that led up to now. Ned Stark never envisioned Jon Snow getting involved romantically with his aunt, Daenerys Targaryen. He never envisioned that. But this is the kind of stuff that happens all the time. You try to manipulate stuff. I mean, look, Littlefinger. Trying to manipulate stuff, he manipulated himself into his own grave. I got to admit, I didn't expect him to go out like that. But he did. And this happens all too often in real life as well. Instead of just being honest about what you're trying to do and to do things above board, you try to manipulate things from behind the scenes, you try to be in the shadow, and before you know it, you've caught yourself in one of your own traps. And not only have you caught yourself in your own trap, but you've caught yourself so well, there's no possible way for you to get out of it. And all of this stuff about Donald Trump and the so-called collusion with the Russians, the Democrats are laying traps for themselves, and they're laying traps so well that when the traps get sprung, there will be absolutely no way for them to talk their way out of it. Don't doubt me on this. This stuff is coming. It is going to get just like in the Game of Thrones, the real life politics in this world, in this day, is going to get very, very nasty. Very soon. I predict and I foresee a time where things are going to get rather seriously deadly as far as politics are concerned. Now, will the American people sit by and let this happen and play out, or will there be more bloodshed and violence? I think there's going to be more bloodshed and violence. I really think so. I'm looking out across the landscape. No, I'm not a three-eyed raven like Bran, but I don't think it takes a three-eyed raven to be able to see what's coming. It's not good. And I find it fascinating that this particular program, it's supposed to take place in a medieval type of land and realm. But understand, this is why I say people have not changed, because this is what monarchs and people who saw, and emperors and all that kind of stuff back in the day, hundreds of years ago, went through. We know this historically speaking. We have their documents. We read their stories and their books and all they did. We have historical evidence of what they did and what they were going through. And it's no different from today. The only thing that's changed is technology. People are the same. Hey, you could put Democrats back in the court of King George, and it wouldn't be any different. It's amazing how much all this stuff is the same. the methodology, the thought process is all exactly the same as it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It's exactly the same. The only thing that has changed is the technology that the people, the perpetrators in power are using. That is the only thing that has changed. The reason behind using the technology of the day, the thought processes, the scheming, the scandals, the lying, the backstabbing, it's all exactly the same. Only the names have changed. And we have to understand, and we got to make sure that people understand that they're not any different. We don't have different players. We have the exact same. It's like they're all reincarnated over and over and over again. They're doing exactly the same damn thing that they did 1,000 years ago. And again, what happens? Who really gets hurt? Is it those in power? Oh, sure, some of them do. But really the people who get hurt are you and me, the citizenry, the paupers. We're the ones that get crushed under their feet. And all too often, we applaud them for doing it. Oh, thank you so much for not crushing us too hard. And when we're given the opportunity to make sure that this sort of stuff doesn't or can't happen again, what do? When we get the ability to elect people, when we get the ability to choose our representatives, who do we choose? Oftentimes we choose people who are going to use the hell out of us, chew us up and spit us out, and say that we're Neanderthals. We don't know what's best for us. And then we applaud them and give them more power. And say, oh, please protect me from the big, bad, evil person. Really? When the big, bad, evil person is the person trying to wield power. That's what Game of Thrones is all about. Do you think it's unique? Folks, we've got a Game of Thrones being played right before our eyes in Washington, D.C. and state capitals all over the country right now. It's about time you wake up to it.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, there is a lot going on right now to prove my point in this stuff. Look, what we got going now is we have this anti Confederate statue, Confederate monument thing going on. Now, did anybody hear Bernie Sanders during his campaign talk about, when he was in the South, talk about bringing down Confederate statues or Confederate monuments at all? No. Nobody. Did Obama talk about this stuff in his entire 8 years as president? No. The reason why we're getting this now is because Donald Trump won the election. And these people were looking around trying to pin racism on Trump and the Republicans. They were trying to do it. And nobody was buying it. And then somebody decided, look, all of those, well, the rebel flag is a symbol of Confederacy and racism, and the monuments, they're all over the place. Well, the monuments were put up, up to 120 years ago or longer. And who put them up? Bunch of Democrats. So what do they say? What are they thinking? Well, not only can we blame the Republicans and all these monuments, but we can hide our own party affiliation with this stuff at the same time. And so now you have the Southern Poverty Law Center out there is warning that of turmoil and bloodshed with the new map that they've just come out with, identifying Confederate monuments, cities, and public schools. Now, they're the ones that are warning against turmoil and bloodshed when they're the ones out there naming all the places around the country that are named after Confederate people. So-called Confederate people. Yes, the Southern Poverty Law Center, this is the same group that calls mainstream conservative organizations hate groups. Yes, this program is a hate program, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is a hate-inspired program. Now, look, they say it's time to take down all the monuments. There more than 1,500 Confederate monuments stand in communities like Charlottesville with the potential to unleash more turmoil and bloodshed. Only by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. By the way, they claim that we got to take all this stuff down in order to move past slavery. And it's, well, in order to have racial harmony. Well, how are you going to have racial harmony when you have Black Lives Matter? When they don't even let white people in certain places now. Well, you guys got white privilege. And you got some stupid white people that say, yeah, we understand. I have white privilege. I've never seen such stupidity in my life. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is urging people to send letters to the editor of their local newspaper. White supremacists incited deadly violence in Charlottesville. Yeah, it all came from the left side, by the way, not the right. In defense of a Confederate monument, we must show the country that blank your city's or county's name gives no safe harbor to such hatred. We must remove the monument. This is the sample letter that they're showing. So you got to, in order to avoid, that's called extortion. In order to avoid, the Southern Poverty Law Center is basically telling communities all across this country that if you want to avoid turmoil and bloodshed, you've got to remove these things that we're calling symbols of hate. By the way, Christopher Columbus is now a symbol of hatred. So whatever they decide is a symbol of hate, you've got to remove it. Otherwise, there could be turmoil, tumult, and bloodshed within your community. That's not legal. By the way, just saying, that's extortion. That's extortion via terrorism. Hey, I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse, okay? You're going to remove this symbol of hate that I call a symbol of hate. Even though it's about it's about an Italian, okay, Sicilian, he's still a racist. You got to remove it, because if you don't, we's going to come down there and break your faces.
You might be surprised to learn who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Nearly 1 in 200 Americans are suffering with a debilitating pain and constant disruption of these inflammatory bowel diseases, or IBD. Chances are you know someone with IBD. For example, your neighbor or coworker. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation was created to help patients cope and to find a cure. People with IBD can't wait. Won't you help someone you know? Visit www.escapethestall.com today.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Amazon's rainforest is being cut down so fast that by 2030, 55% of it could be completely wiped out. The Earth's forests can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey.
Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Yes, that sound means that it is now time for the military report. Yes, indeed. At this time, every Thursday, we like to bring you news from the military. And, you know, it could be good, positive, or maybe not so much. But it is geared towards us civilians knowing more of what's going on inside the lives of military personnel, as well as information for military personnel that may not get this sort of information without it. Here is the story behind Afghanistan. Pentagon says that there are now 11,000 U.S. forces serving in Afghanistan. For those of you who didn't know how many, now there are thousands more U.S. troops on the ground in Afghanistan that have been previously acknowledged, the Pentagon said yesterday. There are currently more than 11,000 U.S. forces deployed in Afghanistan, whereas the Pentagon had previously reported only about 8,400 U.S. Marines were on the ground. Delivering more transparent number was a priority of Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, Mad Dog Jim. So said Pentagon spokesman Dana White. Yes, the higher number now accounts for temporary duty personnel, troops assigned to combat support agencies, and other forces, including forces that are supporting counterterrorism operations within Afghanistan. Not all of those forces had been accounted for in the Pentagon's previous official figure, known as the force management level. So now, as far as Americans tied to the Pentagon military, the more accurate number is more than 11,000 troops are now stationed on the ground in Afghanistan, and we could see as many as 4,500 more being sent to that country by year's end, by next year's end, 2018. So, you know, we're looking to have, by the time it's all said and done, you know, we could have close to 20,000 troops on the ground in Afghanistan. Now, it's a good thing if we can bring some closure to this thing. Then the additional troops would be welcome and a good thing. If it's not going to do that, then I don't know what we're doing. You know, we got to bring this whole thing to an end somehow. We got to bring some closure to. We can't be there in battle mode in perpetuity. It just can't. We just can't sustain such a thing. It's expensive. The human toll is tremendous, and we need to figure we got to get an exit strategy. We really do. I'm convinced that we definitely we don't have one. I mean, well, maybe we do. I don't know what it is. They haven't told us, but at this particular juncture, it doesn't appear like we have really much of an exit strategy without. Because if we do exit, it's going to be like Iraq, and it's just going to all go to shit, basically. Just saying. So we got to figure out a good, solid, decent, stabilizing exit strategy. Otherwise, we're just wasting our blood and treasure for nothing. DoD family panel wants more help for military kids moving to new schools. The whole, we didn't have a whole hell of a lot of problems when we were younger in school, but evidently today's kids are having a very difficult time going from school to school to school. I don't know if that's true now. I know when I was growing up, we didn't have that. We didn't have, you were the new kid for a little while until another kid moved in, a couple of weeks later, then they were the new kid. Oh, everybody wanted to get to know who the big thing is that if you were in the military and you went to a school on base, being the new kid was no big thing. Nobody even noticed. They really didn't. The people that noticed is when you went off base to civilian schools. Then everybody, new kid. That's when everybody notices. But other military kids, because they're often the new kid themselves. They didn't, nobody treated you badly, but they didn't care. Teachers also understood what it was like to be a military brat. Even though they were not in the military themselves, they still understood what it was like to be a military brat. That you were, 1 year you're here, next year you're not. Most military brats never get to make the long-lasting, deep-rooted friendships and connections that civilian kids do. I mean, how many times have you, we met each other when we were in third grade and became best friends all throughout high school and college. Well, you don't get that for most military kids because one or both of you move away. Yeah, and I know. Look, I've gone through it. You vow to keep in touch. I can't tell you the last time I talked to any of my school best friends. You just can't keep in touch. You can't. You can't keep that active. It just isn't going to be possible. You find new friends, new best friends, you move on with your life, and there you go. It just happens. I think about them a lot. I wonder what they're doing, what happened to them. Now you're starting to get to ages where you wonder if they're still alive. What are their kids like and that kind of stuff. Sure, but normally, if you're a civilian, you probably are still in touch at least once in a while with maybe your high school best friend or high school friends or clique, what have you. But if you're a military brat, you're most likely not. So one of the major concerns routinely brought up by military spouses is that their kids are not being given the necessary rudiments, if you will, when they change bases in schools. They're growing tired of hearing all about the Interstate Compact for Educational Opportunities for Military Children and how it should make their lives and the lives of their kids easier, but in many cases it's just not their practical experience on the ground. She gave examples. Stephanie Barna, the acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Manpower and Reserve Affairs, gave examples of spouses being told in some cases that their child doesn't qualify to move to the next grade, or being told the child needs special testing because you go from school to school to school, school district to school district to school district, usually from one state to another, and things there's no we have a national education department and we have this No Child Left Behind type of thing, but there really isn't any continuity from state to state when it comes to educating our kids. So, you're in one school district, and that school district might be kind of advanced or behind, is more likely. And you move to a school district, a new base in a school district where they're kind of advanced, and they're saying, well, your kid can't keep up. He's got to go back a grade or something. This happens a lot. Now, happens. It didn't used to happen, but now it's happening more and more. And parents and kids are getting frustrated as hell with this kind of stuff, and it's taking its toll on military families. So they're looking at ways. They're looking at a comprehensive, collaborative way to see how things are going and how to come up with ways to smooth the transitions, especially for kids, because it's rough on the parents. But can you imagine what it's like on the kids nowadays? So they are looking at that. And finally, in the military report today, PTSD. Veterans suffering from PTSD may soon find help from an unlikely source, an unlikely drug, the main ingredient of ecstasy. A psychedelic drug was recently designated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration as a breakthrough therapy for treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, typically used in recreational settings, the MDMA's efforts have shown that throughout clinical trials to significantly improve the mental well-being of individuals suffering from PTSD. Now, with FDA cooperation, continued studies will soon get underway and will be led by the California-based nonprofit Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, or MAPS, an organization that has been researching the effects of MDMAs for over 30 years. For the first time ever, psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy will be evaluated in Phase 3 trials for possible prescription use, with MDMA-assisted psychotherapy for PTSD leading the way. So if you suffer from PTSD, what this phase of this trial is trying to put forth is that you can get an e-tablet, take some ecstasy, some derivatives of ecstasy, because it'll help you. Oh, I have no problem with that. I mean, this is what, this is what we develop certain drugs for, right? Aren't they supposed to be able to help people? It doesn't look like it's going to be a cure, which I have a problem with us not focusing on cures. We always seem to be focusing on ongoing treatment, so people have to continue taking the drug or the therapy. But is there a cure for PTSD? It's a mental thing, so possibly not. And that's too bad. But are there better ways of treating it and dealing with it than we're currently doing? I believe that there are, and maybe this particular part of ecstasy could be the breakthrough that a lot of PTSD sufferers are looking for to find some relief from their mental anguish. Not their physical, their mental. Look, we used to call it shell shock and war or battle fatigue, and if war is, if it's actually worse, but if it's anything like what we've seen in Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan, I don't know how anybody comes back from that normal. I really don't. That's just a testament to their training and their personal resolve. I don't know how anybody comes back from such a thing normal. And I would argue that none of them do. But some of them are better able to cope with the effects of war than others. So if this is something that can help, I think that we should look forward to it, look through it. And that is a military report for this week. Thank you for tuning in to that. Here's from the New York Post. Teen says juvenile detention center has used its teen inmates, as sex slaves. An 18-year-old Bronx resident claims in a new lawsuit that workers at a juvenile detention center have been using the teen jailbirds as sex slaves. Now, Frank Maldonado, who turns 19 in a few weeks, said he was placed at the Horizon Juvenile Center in the Bronx in 2013 and 2014 when he was just 15 years old. Instead of protecting him, supervisor Natalie Medford told Maldonado that if he took care of her needs, She would protect him from disciplinary action and give him special privileges such as use of her cell phone and the ability to watch special movies. Okay. Now, Maldonado's lawsuit said Medford would occasionally release him from the hole or a segregated unit for punishment and bring him to her office for the purpose of engaging in sexual contact with him. While Medford preyed on Maldonado, at least one other minor inmate was being groomed by another Horizon worker, the lawsuit said. Male workers looked the other way, including a tour of supervisors who allegedly admitted to Maldonado that female guards regularly engaged in sexual conduct with the male inmates, the lawsuit said. How do we let this sort of thing happen? Honestly, again, it's this whole notion that male children are more than 5 times more likely to be subject to sexual harassment and misconduct and mistreatment than girls, and they're preyed upon by both sexes. Girls, typically, it is with a male counterpart, male teacher or authority figure that preys upon it. And it's rare that another female does this to a girl. But for boys, they have to worry about both male and female authority figures mistreating them. This is awful. Now, I know some people say, well, it's the double standard. The boy's going to love being with an older woman, right? Well, what about the older man? What if the boy's not gay? Just saying. What if the boy is gay, and some female thinks that he's really hot and cute and wants? Well, I mean, this whole thing is we don't have enough. We obviously don't seem to have enough things in place to protect our children from sexual predators, and that's sad to say. We're more concerned about protecting the illegal immigrant and making sure that they're getting free 3 meals a day than we are about keeping our own legal citizen children, even if they do get into trouble. And just because you're sent to a juvenile detention center doesn't mean that you should be subject to such harassment, haranguement, and abuse. I mean, honestly, what are they supposed to do? And if you think that, well, they can defend themselves, if you think have you seen the 14 or 15-year-old today? Most of them couldn't defend themselves against an adult, especially even an adult female. Hell, half the times I had a story here about some detention center, actually. The detention center actually utilizing drugs. Pretty much, what they do with what they used to do with sailors, the saltpeter. Well, they were actually utilizing, where was it in the paper pile? Using it in a juvenile detention center with males to make them more docile, giving them, feeding them drugs. So, I mean, are they doing this on a regular basis? They might be. We don't normally find out until somebody decides to get out of there and blow the whistle. And then it usually takes a number of people a number of years to get anybody to listen to them, because what do we say? Oh no, you're just trying to get back at the people who kept you in jail, and you're a liar, this and that, and nobody believes them until something major really happens or somebody can't ignore it anymore, and then they all say, oh well, we didn't know. This happens a lot. And maybe we need to look at this stuff more.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, I know sometimes some people will say, well, you know, the boy loves it and asks for it or what have you. And I know that there are sometimes, you know, some of these kids, whether they be male or female, the children, they can act rather adult-like and be very persistent in their sexual pursuits of an adult, older people. But again, in the end, it has to. I'm not talking about, you know, a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old getting it on. I'm talking about a 16-year-old being the subject of a 25 or 30-year-old or older, object of affection and desire. There's a big difference. And the adult is supposed to know the difference and protect the child from such things. But often they don't. Lawmakers pressure Trump to let Central Americans stay in the USA. Lawmakers from across the country are trying to build up support in Congress to pressure President Trump to allow nearly 300,000 immigrants from Honduras and El Salvador alone to stay in the country. 300,000 immigrants from Honduras and El Salvador, trying to get them to stay in the country, adding to a growing pile of requests facing a White House that is trying to reduce, not expand, legal immigration. No, they're not trying to reduce legal immigration. We're trying to reduce illegal immigration. Love how the Sacramento Bee puts this. Trying to reduce, not expand, legal immigration. Well, why should we expand legal immigration? We shouldn't. We're not I don't think we were ever billed as being the savior of the entire world, but some people seem to get that idea, but we can't do that. And we can't allow as many people into this country as we once used to, because now things have changed, the dynamics have changed, and it's not the same as it used to be. Unfortunately, or fortunately. But we do have why aren't people focusing more on trying to improve the conditions in the countries where these people are trying to escape from? We don't seem to be focusing on that, do we? Oh, the reason is because to liberals, a lot of these places that these people are trying to escape from, they're wonderful, paradises like Cuba, right? Isn't Cuba's a paradise? But we should let Cubans stay here because they're refugees. But I thought Cuba was a paradise. Are we going to do the same thing for Venezuelans? Boy, liberals are just they're so two-faced, it's redonkulous. It really is. Anyway, that sound means we're out of time for today, folks. Thanks for being here. Tomorrow, we will be back in 21 hours for Open Mic Freedom Friday. Just about anything goes. Maybe we'll talk more about Game of Thrones and some other stuff. You don't want to miss it. Tell a friend. Until then, have a wonderful Thursday afternoon. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.